Hey, how is it going, guys? Jackson here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're going to be doing a review of the Gigabit 78LMT motherboard. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so as I said in the beginning of this video, this is going to be a review on a micro ATX motherboard. So the reason I'm doing this, or actually the reason I got the motherboard, was if you checked out the update video, we're going to be using this in the server build that we're going to be doing on New Year's. But I'm also going to be using it in a few custom builds, kind of like the ones that I used to do with that mini ITX board, except this one is just a micro ATX, so it's a little bit bigger. So that'll be fun trying to figure out all that stuff. So we decided to get this motherboard. We actually got that with some of the money that we've gotten from YouTube, so that was really cool because it was kind of like it was free in a way. But it looks like a pretty nice motherboard though. It's about $50, and there's also a mail-in rebate to make it around 40 something, I believe. So that's really cool. So let's go ahead and just get started. First of all, I'll go ahead and show you. It actually came with, obviously like a huge Newegg box that was like this big and that tall, kind of unnecessary. And it came with some of this packing. And I went ahead and got all that stuff out of the way so that we can make the video a little quicker. And it also came with this. I don't know if this will appeal to any of you guys. It doesn't really appeal to me or Matt, or Matt or I. But it's a $100 wine voucher. I don't even know how you're supposed to use it or what it is even for, because it doesn't really interest me, but really random. But it came with that, just throwing that out there. Any of you, hardcore gaming drinkers out there. So starting off, you can see we have, a typical nice little motherboard case. I've always loved motherboard cases. Really anything tech-related case is always really cool. They just make them look really cool. Kind of has like a carbon fiber display on the front, but who really cares about that? But you can see it has the main things up front. Like it's obviously, this is an AM3 Plus motherboard for the FX series processors. It can take up to 125 watt FX processor CPU. And you can see it has a 760G chipset, which is also AMD, and then it has built-in, it has integrated graphics. It has the 3K ATI Radeon crap graphics. But that is good though for people who just really don't want to do a graphics card or think they don't need one. It's nice to be able to have that. So that's just like a little added thing if you're not going to get a graphics card. This does have preloaded graphics that won't run very good, but they'll work basically. So that's just about it for the front, and then you can see it says ultra cool performance, and I'm not too sure how they do that, but they said it has to do with lower temps on the MOSFET, which is basically little switches that control current. They basically cut current on and off, so somehow they were able to lower the temps with those. I'm not too sure on that. And then let's go ahead and check out the sides. So you can see the sides just talk about how it's USB 3, so it does have a few USB 3.0 slots on it. It actually has two USB 3.0 on the I/O, and then you can actually add more too. It has a little header off the motherboard where you can add as many, or I think you can add up to like 4 USB 3.0 slots extra off of that, so that's a nice little option. And you can see in the back, same exact thing, and on the side, pretty much same thing. Here you kind of have like some specs on the actual board of what all it is, and it can tell, like it tells what type of RAM and some stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Let's go ahead and open it up. Actually, no, wait, one more thing. And you can see the back side. The back side's really cool. This is where, if you ever want to find out a lot of stuff about the motherboards, check there. This will basically just give you all the stuff that it does on Newegg, where it tries to sell you the product. It'll say, high quality capacitors, which a lot of motherboards have these now. A big problem a while back was capacitors would basically split or, become unusable. They would blow up and stuff like that because they were using cheap, Chinese capacitors. But now these are supposed to be better, and like I said, they do these for pretty much any motherboard now that you spend over like $20 on. So typically it's not a problem, but that is a nice thing that they tell you that they have good capacitors. And then you can see they have an audio noise guard on here. They actually supposedly, I guess, where you would screw in the motherboard onto the case, I guess somehow they have it to where the holes maybe have some type of noise dampening material on them, so that's kind of nice to try to reduce vibrations and things like that. Like I said, the higher temperature, you can see it has the front USB ports, or actually no, this is the header to add more USB, and then it also has USB up here. You can see it has the high ESD protection, which it says it has it on the whole board too, but it also says in the Ethernet. Like I said, that's another thing that they pretty much add in like every motherboard, just to try to sell the product. And it is true though, compared to older motherboards, it definitely these will last a lot longer. And like even the use of ESD bands and stuff like that aren't even completely. I'm not trying to ditch against them, but you know, back then if you were to touch a motherboard, it'd probably shock it, but nowadays it's pretty hard to kill a motherboard and a lot of other electronic components because they do things to prevent against that. And then as humidity protection, which almost every motherboard says that now too. But let's go ahead and get into it, because I know you guys are just waiting for that and best part of this. So you can see it has 2 SATA cables, not too long, but it's nice that it comes with 2 of them. These would be for your hard drives or your CD drives, your floppy disk. No, I'm just kidding, they wouldn't even run off this. But these are actually for to transfer, you know, data. So they would go to the CD drive or to the hard drive to transfer data to the motherboard and move stuff around. So it's nice that they include 2 of them. They're a nice little color too. They're, you know, not basic looking. Pretty nice looking though, not too long like I said, so keep that in mind. It comes with an Ide cable. I don't really know what you're going to do with this, because hopefully you're not running anything that uses ribbon cable anymore, but it comes with one. Just to throw that out there. Might even be more than one, I can't even really tell, but it's kind of weird. I don't think I've bought a motherboard ever that even came with one of these. Here you have your I/O. You can see it does, it actually doesn't, it doesn't have any of the, sometimes to try to dampen the noise in the I/Os, they'll put like a noise dampening material like rubber or something like that, and or a foam, and it actually doesn't have that, but I could care less about that, just to throw that out to people. It's just a simple metal I/O. And then we have the user manual along with the setup disk. So this has your BIOS stuff on it and like your drivers and all that. You can see, you know, it'd probably be how you'd set up, you can see it has RAID and how you would set up your like 7.1 channel audio and your local access network stuff. This is how you would get the drivers for all that, or you can just find them online, of course. And then you can see we have the user manual. It's actually laid out pretty nice. As you can see, it has, because I did look through it, it has some really nice pictures with it, which is always a plus, because I never honestly really read instructions, but if I do need to read the instructions, it's because I can't figure something that's kind of more advanced out. So it's nice to have good instructions for that. Okay, and now let's go ahead and actually get into pulling out the motherboard. So, of course, it comes with the typical anti-static plastic, and there's nothing actually else in this box. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. And from there, you can see it's pretty simple. You just take the tape off, and then you take the motherboard out. Of course, make sure you're not standing on carpet if you're doing this without a ESD band and all that. You shouldn't really be doing a computer on carpet anyways, but just throwing that out there. And then put it on the plastic because it's anti-static. And I'm also on a wooden table, so that's not really going to carry much electric current through it anyways because it's wood. So just a few things to keep out there so you guys don't kill all your stuff. So let's go ahead and get into the actual motherboard, the actual fun part. So first let's just talk about looks. So it actually looks pretty nice. It has a nice little shiny finish to it. The actual motherboard, it kind of looks black, but it's brown. It's like it's almost like a chocolate layout. Like it's all looks like a dark chocolate everywhere. You can see it has really nice, kind of like brushed aluminum heat sinks coming off of it, or heat fins, cooling fins. Look really nice. They kind of kept a nice little gray or silver and black and brown color scheme. So, you know, props for that. And you can see the SATA cables kind of match the capacitors, the tips of them. So it does look really nice. It has the gigabit logo or gigabyte logo. Don't even know how to say it. And you can see it has 4 DDR3 RAM slots. So you can put up to 32 gigs in this. It only runs up to 1600 megahertz RAM. So just keep that in mind, that you really, I don't believe you'd be able to do, you know, like the 2133 or anything above 1600 speed. But you can add up to 32 gigs, so that's nice. And you probably wouldn't be doing an insane build with a motherboard like this anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the other stuff. So you can see we have the 24-pin connector, which, you know, every motherboard will have. Some have 20-pin though, even if they use less power. But we have the 24-pin, which is nice. And then we also have an 8-pin CPU connector, so that's also really nice. You can plug in a 4-pin here though, which is cool. And you know, if you have a CPU that uses less power, you might only need a 4-pin. And it can take an AM3 FX processor that uses up to 125 watts, so you can use 8-core ones, which is nice with this little motherboard. You can see we have 3 PCI slots. We have a PCI Express 2.0, and then a PCI Express, and then just a PCI. So this would be like for your graphics card, and then this would be for you know, like a LAN card and other stuff like that. I've never even really used either one of these. I only usually do graphics cards as far as expansion goes. Let's see what else we got here. And then you can see if we flip it around, we have the, like the audio if you want to add extra audio, but you also have one off the IO. But if you want to add more audio expansion and stuff like that, you have a header here. You also have your SPDIF header. You have this, which I'm not even complete. I think this is this is your, no, it's not your ribbon. This is your IDE right here. Not even completely sure what this is, honestly. Right here, not too sure what that is. And then you can see we have a 3.0 header right here. So that's where you would add your USB 3.0, your extra slots. But you do have 2 of them built into the IO. So keep that in mind. And then you can see we have 2 USB 2.0/1.1, I believe it is, headers right here. So you can add more USB slots. You already have 4 on the IO. And then we have this is the actual, geez, I can't even think of the name now. This is the one that would go to your, your power and your LEDs and all that. So what's really nice about this though is they labeled it. I mean, that's beautiful that they did this. They labeled it on the motherboard. Most of them don't do that. Most of them you have to try to search incredibly hard through the manual to try to find which of these actually does what. Which, like I said, for some reason I can't remember the name of this, but that's nice that they do that. So everything's labeled on the motherboard of what each thing does, like where the power goes and all that, so you don't have to try to do trial and error search for it. You can see we have 6 SATA slots, so that's really cool too. So you could have up to like 6 hard drives, or 4 hard drives and 2 CD drives, which doesn't even make a lot of sense. But you can do whatever you want with that. You have a lot of expansion options. And then let's see, like I said, we have the IDE, and that's just about it on this part. Now let's go to the IO real quick. You can see we have, like I said, we have onboard graphics. So we have HDMI, DVI, and VGA. So that's cool if you are going to run with the onboard graphics, that you have all these connections so that you can actually, hook up any type of monitor you wanted to it. So that's cool that it has all 3 of those. You can see we have the, and I can't even remember what this is called, but the connector for the older mice and keyboards. It's a PS2. It uses this type of connector. The only thing I don't like though is the fact that they do this on almost all new motherboards now. They only add one to where you can basically use you could only use one, either a keyboard that uses this PS2, or you could use a mouse that uses PS2. I think it should either be both or none. I don't think, because I feel like a lot of people don't just have one nowadays, but that's just my opinion. But it is nice that they have that. And then you can see we have all the audio jacks. Like we have your mic, your standard audio, and then the blue one, I forget what that is. It's some other. It's something else for audio though. And other than that though, that's about it. You can see we have the back plate here. That's about it for this motherboard though. I have 8 seconds left in this video, so it better be it. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for upcoming builds.